How's it going, everyone? We are coming up on an insane period of new game releases. There's gonna be a ton of stuff coming out in the next coming months and really going into 2023. If you thought this summer was pretty quiet, buckle up because there's a ton of stuff coming out. And in this video, I want to cover a game that's dropping next week. Not getting a ton of buzz, but a game that I've been following for quite a while. It's from a studio that I think is gonna get a lot more recognition in the coming years, and that is Spiders' Steelrising. Now, before we get into Steelrising itself, which I think from a premise standpoint is one of the most unique ideas for a video game in terms of setting and what it's going for, but we'll get to that in a second. First of all, I want to give you guys a little bit of background on the studio Spiders. Not a very well-known studio, however, they've been doing action RPGs for north of a decade, and they've actually done some pretty good titles. Starting off, they worked on titles such as Fairy, Legends of Avalon way back in the day, Of Orcs and Men, but more recently, they put out titles like Mars Warlogs, The Technomancer, which was a pretty interesting sci-fi game, a little rough around the edges, but back in 2019, they also released Greedfall, which I personally believe was their highest profile and best game yet. And what you notice about Spiders is with each subsequent release, I feel like they are developing as a studio and getting better and better, and what I'm really hoping for out of Steelrising is that this is a bit of a culmination of a lot of their work. Now, they're already working on Greedfall 2 as well, so that's another title, but that we'll talk about in 2024 when we get closer to its release. Steelrising is a game that's dropping next week, and again, as I mentioned off the top, such a unique premise for this game in this setting. The game takes place in Paris 1789. The French Revolution has been suppressed with bloodshed by Louis XVI and his merciless mechanical army. You play as Aegis, a mysterious automaton masterpiece, and you must confront the king's army alone to save history in this challenging action RPG. I'm a sucker for alternate history, but this is taking alternate history and taking it one level up in my opinion. It is just such a unique premise, and right away from the story trailers and the bits that we've seen of that, very much excited from the premise alone. And on the PlayStation blog, there was a post by Spiders themselves about Aegis, which notes the idea of playing as Aegis, and again, Aegis is the main character, this automaton, an agile automaton, caught on quickly, and our next step was to define our setting. As a Paris-based studio, we have always been influenced by our European roots, and I've always had a taste for the Baroque, the strange, and the eerie. After a few iterations, the pieces started to come together, and we set Steelrising in an alternate timeline based on the French Revolution of 1789. To tame the flames of revolution igniting Paris, King Louis XVI unleashes a deadly army of clockwork robots on your people. You are Aegis, a mysterious automaton bodyguard to Queen Marie Antoinette and the revolution's last hope against a king gone mad. Aegis was originally made to be a dancer and wasn't initially designed for combat, considering each opponent you face is a literal killing machine. Defeating them won't be easy. You'll have to make good use of your inherent grace, think fast, stay on your toes, and strike at the right moment to come out in one piece. And as this blog post notes, it wasn't designed for combat and Aegis was meant to be a dancer, but as you see the combat itself, you kind of still see that shine through, where there's this graceful movement as far as the combat goes, which I find kind of interesting. It also notes you can also adapt Aegis to your own playstyle thanks to a flexible leveling system and a wide variety of different weapons, each with their unique strengths and weaknesses. If you've ever played a Souls like Steelrising will feel familiar to you, and this is one of the reasons why we wanted you to play as an automaton. Aegis is much more acrobatic than any human could ever be. She brings great agility and verticality to any fight. What's more, throughout your adventure, you'll unlock various tools, opening new paths to explore, as well as gameplay possibilities during combat. That was a very early description of Aegis, over a year ago, but I feel like it still holds true as far as what we've seen out of the game. There is more information about Aegis in another blog post beyond the mechanical aspect, which reflects the ability to upgrade and rebuild. We also wanted to infuse the character with grace for gameplay reasons. We wanted to incorporate fast-paced aerial gameplay elements and verticality. Thus, it was clear to us that Aegis had to be an agile and elegant character. By association, we thought about music boxes and their little mechanical ballerinas, as well as fitting the story of the character, who was originally an automaton dancer. We found this reference interesting as it added a sense of apparent vulnerability and graceful delicacy in keeping with our vision of the character, creating a contrast that was all the more striking when she sprang her weapons from her body, the ballerina becoming a graceful machine of death. Being a machine, we were able to give her exaggerated, unnatural proportions and emphasize the mechanical, unhuman nature of her movements. We could also give her a range of motion, especially in combat, which accentuated the aerial gameplay. And you'll see that quite a bit as far as what Aegis can do. The traversal itself, you'll be able to grapple on, and there will be a lot of platforming as well. And the traversal looks to be one of the key elements of the game as well. This was made possible being that Aegis is this automaton that is more of a graceful character than maybe a human would be, or if it was just an on-foot game. But there's going to be rooftop traveling. You're going to, again, be able to grapple to various areas. And then also, there's a contrast between Aegis' delicate form and her heavier, more imposing enemies would underline her uniqueness in our world. Aegis will also be partly customizable. You can change her wig, her facial features, and the material of the body. And as far as why and how Aegis was created, that is going to be something that you're going to uncover throughout the story itself. Obviously, with an action-heavy, Souls-like style experience like this, gameplay is going to be at the heart of it. The game notes challenging combat between automatons up against the king's mechanical soldiers. Deadly accuracy will be needed. String together dodges, parries, jumps, and devastating attacks to fight your way through Paris. Every fight will test your nerve and requires excellent discipline, while the huge, relentless machine bosses demand patience and skill. Revolutionary Paris is your playground. You'll have the ability to use carriages, grapples, secret passages, a detailed map, and other methods and tools you find along the way. Explore a city experiencing its darkest days. Your grappling hook adds a new dimension to exploration as Paris's verticality, combined with your dash ability, it'll provide access to all the city's secrets across multiple levels you can explore over and over again. There does seem to be a little bit more of a fast-paced nature to the game as far as exploration goes, with grappling, with the dashing. So that is pretty interesting, and obviously, as far as Aegis goes, I feel like customization is kind of at the heart of it, considering you play as this automaton. Define your own style and upgrade your abilities as you progress through the game. You can play as a ruthless warrior, a hard-hitting bodyguard, a deadly dancer, or a virtuoso of the elemental arts. Take advantage of a wide variety of weapons and skills to approach each fight in your own unique way. And of course, as the main character of an alternative history where Paris is being choked by this tyrant king, allies and enemies with unclear motives will cross your path, so do expect more of a challenging action RPG, but a lot of customizability, a lot of exploration is going to be had at the heart of the game. I do want to note a couple more things. This is going to be a next generation exclusive title, so unfortunately, if you're only a PS4 or Xbox One user at this point, you're not going to be able to play the game. It's on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Technically, I wouldn't say the game is absolutely blow away from a visual standpoint, but what I will say is that there seems to be a lot of variety in the different areas. You've got forests, you've got big cityscapes, you've got darker, dimmer areas, you've got these big buildings. There seems to be a lot of variety in that, especially based on the imagery that's been put out thus far. Lastly, one final thing as far as various editions, the game will be coming in two different editions. There is a standard edition that will be released, that is just the base game, and then there is the Bastille Edition, which will be a little bit more expensive. It includes the Discus chain weapons, a Secrets extension planned for November of 2022, a brand new area, new characters, a new enemy class, and a new boss, a new weapon and its variants, and a cosmetic pack, which includes a complete outfit for Aegis as well. Imagine most of you will probably be checking out the base game. Steelrising will officially be released on September 8th. Hopefully, this gave you a little bit of an idea of what the game is. Honestly, we see a lot of action RPGs, we see a lot of challenging Souls-like style titles. This one, from a premise standpoint, is what really interests me, how the narrative is going to unfold, the idea you play as this automaton, how was it created, and, you know, the idea of this king going around. It's absolute chaos and mayhem, and it's up to you to correct history. But that is going to do it for me. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Is this one that you're going to pick up, or are you going to wait on the reviews? Is it one that you're going to wait for a sale for? Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.